You know how we always think drugstore makeup is the budget-friendly option, or grabbing that drugstore dupe of a high-end product is the way to go if you're on a budget. It logically makes sense, but that's not always the case. I was prepping for a couple of upcoming videos and came across some very popular drugstore products that completely blew my mind when I broke down their prices, which sent me down a rabbit hole. They not only cost as much as high-end products per ounce, but in some cases are more expensive, and not by a little bit. So I thought we could chat about this today while I applied my makeup for the day. This is something I've sort of known was going on, but I feel like it's happening more and more, and I just wanted to talk about it with you. I have several examples to go through. I mean, once you see these numbers, you might never look at drugstore makeup the same way again, or it might not bother you. Either way, I would love to know if you've known these kinds of things were going on and how you feel about them in the comments. I just always think the more information we have, the better, the more informed we can be when we're shopping, which is always a good thing. So I have had my sunscreen on for a while now. I applied the D'Alba UV Essence Waterful Sunscreen today. It's got kind of a glowy look to it, which is really great under matte foundations. However, I'm on day 2 of testing this Essence foundation stick, so I am going to apply a mattifying primer that's still hydrating. This is the Elizabeth Mott Thank Me Later. I'm going to have everything I'm applying listed and linked for you down in my description box, and as many products as possible sourced through YouTube shopping as well. They don't always have everything though. I think this is one of the products that they don't have, so check my description box if you don't see something. I may not say everything I'm applying if I'm talking about the subject at hand. In those cases, I'll list it on the screen. Let me pull my mirror over. I'm massaging the rest of this in one hand because I want to hold this up with the other. This is one of the main products that prompted this video. This is the new L'Oreal Skin Ink Foundation and Concealer. Most people that I've seen are using this as a foundation versus a concealer because it's sort of mattifying and it sets down to your face and it looks pretty drying as a concealer. So I'm getting ready to put this in my next foundation roundup, so you'll get my full thoughts there. This costs $18.99, which up front looks like a great deal. That's a drugstore price. It's under $20. Let's talk about typical foundation bottles. Typical liquid foundations come in 1 ounce bottles. This is half an ounce. If you want to get the same amount of product from this, it's going to take 2 of these, and that is almost $38. That, my friends, is a high-end price. So to me, this is already priced pretty high for a drugstore foundation at just under $20, $18.99, and you're getting half the amount that you usually get in a liquid foundation. So just to let you know, if you haven't seen this product yet, it is a liquid foundation concealer with a doe foot applicator that you spread around. And in my opinion, $18.99 is a pretty high price for a drugstore foundation anyway, even a 1 ounce size. I mean, I think that that's a pretty high price. You'll run out of this twice as fast. You'll have to buy 2 to get 1 ounce. It's just not a deal. This is not a drugstore deal. This is 100% high-end territory, price per ounce. And this kind of reminded me of a couple of years ago when CoverGirl launched their Essence foundation that was supposed to be a dupe of Chanel Water Fresh Temp. What was the official name of that? Simply Ageless Skin Perfector Essence. It was around $22 for 1 ounce. I mean, at least we got an ounce. But everyone made a huge fuss of how expensive that was. And then it just seemed like all was forgiven because I think it was supposed to be a dupe of Chanel. And I mean, you know, it's Chanel. I do feel like that was one of the first drugstore foundations that was over $20 though. And you know, it was a shock at first, but people got over it. It's still sitting at the over $20 price point. And you know, if people like a product, they're obviously going to buy it, but at least you got an ounce, unlike this one that's going to cost you nearly $40 for an ounce, which is again, high-end territory. I'm just still kind of shocked about this. And of course there's shrinkflation, and that's been happening with higher end brands too. And that's brands quietly shrinking the amount amounts you get so that the sticker price looks cheaper. So you may not even realize you're getting less. So for example, L'Oreal LumiGlow Skin Tint, which is a product I really like. It's $16.99 for 0.85 ounces. If it were a full ounce, it would be around $20. Now, I don't know for a fact that this is a pricing strategy they did. This is just me surmising, but I would think drugstore shoppers would be more apt to pay for a product that's closer to $15 than $20. So maybe they put it in smaller packaging to keep the pricing down. I don't know. That's just where my brain went. I also noticed Revolution Beauty Silk Tint Serum Foundation is $14 for 0.77 ounces. I mean, why is it 0.77 ounces? If it was a full ounce, it would be $18. You know, I remember from a dupes video a while back, I duped the Milani Cheek Kiss bronzer, which I love, to several others. I know the Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow was one of them. I think maybe NARS Laguna, maybe the Say bronzer was another. And I broke the price down of that bronzer in that video, saying that it was actually more expensive than Chanel. So Milani Cheek Kiss bronzers are $12.99 for 0.21 ounce, making them $61.86 per ounce. The Chanel bronzer is 1 ounce and it's $60. So for the same amount of product from Milani, you would need to buy 5 of them. You would basically need to restock it 5 times, and it would actually end up costing you more. Some people in the comments of that video said that they didn't care. They were more concerned about the upfront cost, the fact that they were paying $12.99 upfront. That's all they cared about, which is absolutely valid. That's why I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Do you care about the long-term budget savings, or is it just about in the moment? So if the Chanel was $60 for 1 ounce, I mean, you get a ton of product with that Chanel bronzer. NARS Laguna is $42 for 0.67 ounce, which breaks down to $62.69 for 1 ounce. So it's only $1 more than Milani for 1 ounce. And Say Sunmelt bronzer is the winner in this whole thing. You get 1 ounce for $33, which is half the price of Milani. I mean, when you really take the time to break down the cost of these drugstore products, it's really eye-opening sometimes. So if you are looking at price per ounce, that's a case where the dupe, although a really great product, doesn't actually end up being a deal unless you only care about it right there in the moment. And of course, there are some really great dupes that are deals. Okay, so I just actually used one, this Physicians Formula Butter Glow and Go. This is a dupe of the Dibs Beauty Double-Ended Bronzer Blush Stick, and it is about half the price for about the same amount of product. It's a good deal, great quality. I love this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my Nude Suede Shoes lip liner from NYX and talk about these 2 shockingly expensive powders. I sometimes like to lock in my lip liner a bit more with setting powder, so that's what I'm doing today. And I wanted to time my setting powder application with when I was talking about these 2 new drugstore setting powders. My jaw dropped when I broke the prices down on these. They both cost more per ounce than best-selling, top-rated, high-end setting powders, and I haven't seen anybody talk about it. So let's first look at some well-known high-end powders and their prices per ounce as I'm setting my face. Since the original Laura Mercier translucent powder comes in a 1 ounce size, let's talk about that one first. It's $43 for that large 1 ounce size. Now she also has an Ultra Blur translucent powder, which is $48 for 0.7 ounces. That breaks out to $68.57 per ounce. This is going to seem like a lot until you hear what I have to say in a minute. Huda Beauty setting powder is $39 for 0.7 ounces, which breaks out to $54.93 per ounce. Kosas Cloud Set is $38 for 0.7 ounce, which breaks out to $54.29 per ounce, pretty similarly priced. One Size is $36 for 1.2 ounces. You get a lot there, which breaks down to $30 per ounce. And Makeup by Mario powder is $38 for 0.53 ounces, which makes it $71.70 per ounce. The powder I just applied, by the way, is Maybelline Fit Me in shade 20 light medium. That's why I didn't use it under my eyes. I really need to get it in translucent, but I'm actually not mad at what it did since this is pretty sheer. First, the L'Oreal Infallible Blurfection setting powder. You only get 0.21 ounces here, so you're getting at least a third less than most of the powders we talk about, even less than a couple of the others, and it's $15.99 for that 0.21 ounces. That works out to $76 per ounce. So per ounce, it's more than every single one of those high-end powders that I just talked about. That's why I wanted to give you the prices of those first. It's a nice powder, don't get me wrong. It's not a powder that controls my shine and my shine prone areas, kind of similar to Makeup by Mario, but it sets my makeup nicely. And it's nice under my eyes, maybe a tad bit more drying than my favorite under eye setting powders. But for a drugstore powder, if you're just wanting to find something at the drugstore and you're only concerned about price in that moment and not long term, it's a good powder. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. By the way, are you concerned about the long-term budget or just in the moment? But if you put all the powders I just talked about in a jar, in a 1 ounce jar, and price them accordingly, this one would be the most expensive up until this point. Enter Pixie. This is the Pixie Skin Veil powder, which I haven't heard that many people talk about. It is $24 for 0.2 ounces, making it $120 per ounce for Pixie, a drugstore brand. This is almost double the cost of the high-end powders we just talked about, and it's about triple the cost of the Laura Mercier Translucent powder, a classic powder that's been around forever, that is absolutely fantastic. That just blows my mind. I feel like I'm really coming down on L'Oreal here. I love some L'Oreal products. I really do, but I have one more dupe trap that I have to mention. This is a viral dupe that I hear mentioned all the time. I just need to throw in here really quickly, and that is the L'Oreal Infallible, what is it, the 3-second setting mist. It's supposed to be a fantastic dupe for One Size Until Dawn setting spray, which is $34 for 3.4 ounces, making it $10 an ounce. So L'Oreal looks less expensive at $13.99 per ounce, but it's a lot smaller at just over half the size at 1.76 ounces, and that works out to be $7.95 per ounce. So yes, it's technically cheaper at around $2 less an ounce, but you're getting less product, so you'll run out faster. And in my experience, it's sticky and it smells bad. It's basically like putting hairspray on my face, and it makes my face feel dry. It's not a trade-off I personally am willing to make for $2 an ounce. Now, that might be a personal thing. I guess what I'm seeing is that to some brands, it's clear that they count on us looking at the sticker price or buying a drugstore product and assuming we're getting a bargain. And while yes, sometimes these brands or the stores they're carried in often run sales, I think a lot of times they bank on us picking up these products on a whim when we see them, rather than waiting for sales. I'm not saying to never buy drugstore products, and I'm not saying all drugstore brands are evil or they're all trying to trick us. I mean, drugstore and high-end brands have their different ways that they market and price things and have to make money and profit. I didn't even really get into the weeds in this video. I just wanted to point out some examples and some things to look out for when you're shopping. I think now more than ever, we need to be really looking at these prices and breaking them down to see if we're actually getting a deal, because gone are the days when drugstore automatically equals less expensive or affordable. We just don't know. It's not always the case anymore. If you've noticed these types of things happening with other products that I didn't talk about, let us know in the comments. We could probably use a running list of sorts. And if you found this helpful or enjoyable in some way, give this video a thumbs up so other people will see it, and subscribe if you love honest beauty talk and everyday beauty made easy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.